Hello, hello. Welcome back. I'm happy to be back. This is my first podcast in a while. I hope everybody had a wonderful summer as I did. I'm over here on the east coast of the United States in New Jersey. Yay! How many of y'all from New Jersey? New Jersey. Yes. Well, of course, we're into fall weather. It's a little cooler, and pretty soon we'll all be needing coats and everything. But what I'm going to talk about today, I'm going to be honest. Sometimes I make little notes about what I want to speak about. But today, I'm not making no notes. I'm freestyling, as they say. I'm freestyling today. I saw something the other day. Well, for those of you who do not know me, I'm Robin. This is my podcast. I'm pretty much a one-woman show. And I talk about relationships, all kind of relationships, loving yourself, self-love, self-worth, self-acceptance. How about that? Many of us don't accept ourselves for who we are and what we have. And in case no one told you all today, you're all beautiful, and you have to know that every day that you look in that mirror, that you are beautiful just the way you were created. But I saw something the other day. I was watching a show, which I will not name. And you all probably are familiar with it. But anyway, these two people wanted to get married. And the thing that was concerning for me, the woman was 25 and the fiance, the groom to be, was 55. They had a 30-year age difference. Now, I want to judge that wholeheartedly, but I know there's many relationships that survive big gaps in age. But I'm very concerned about a grown man that would marry a 25-year-old when he's a seasoned 55-year-old. Okay, and that's not to say that he has the maturity of a 55-year-old, but he has definitely experienced life longer and in many different avenues than a 25-year-old. Well, as the situation progressed, it got worse. Apparently, he met her when he was 49 and she was 19. She worked in a grocery store and he would go in there and get in her line. And, I guess it was intentional, of course, that he would constantly come back and get in her line until he established a relationship with her other than a customer and she being a cashier. Well, as time went on, I kind of understood what the pull was for her. She had been kicked out of her house young, and she was left to find her own way. And I'm going to tell you people right now, raising children may seem like it's easy when they're young, but when they get to be teenagers, it could definitely be a challenge. And the last thing you want to do is throw your children out to the wolves out there that's waiting for them, because they're definitely out there waiting for them. They can spot them a mile away, and they're vulnerable as can be when they're out there, babies trying to find their own way. And if you think an 18-year-old is ready, you are kidding yourself. I don't care how much bravado they talk, they are not ready. So she was out there pretty much trying to find a way. I don't know where she was living before she ran into that man. I didn't hear that. But the interesting thing was, he was a married man already when he was out there pursuing that young girl. And it became a situation where she needed a place to stay. And so he offered her to come to his home that he shared with his wife Okay, just to show you the character of him and the integrity of him, that because there was no integrity, none whatsoever. So he brings this young girl home to the home he shares with his wife, and apparently, I guess he introduces her, as a young girl that just needs somewhere to stay. But apparently, eventually, the wife found out that he was sexing that young girl right there in the home with his wife. I can't even imagine. So the young lady says that he told her him and his wife didn't have a relationship anymore, although he was still living in a home with her. And she said that eventually she moved into the bedroom with him. Okay, they slept together every night, and the wife slept alone in another bedroom. Well, I just want to say hallelujah. The wife probably was glad as could be. If didn't no fire come out of her about that situation, she was so glad, unfortunately, that young girl had came to take that burden away from her. Okay, because not only was he in whatever semblance he thought that was a relationship with this young girl, young woman, not only was he in that relationship with her, but he was abusive also. And that was the saddest part of the whole show, that he was abusive towards her. And before they even had got to the show, he had already counseled her on not mentioning the abuse. Can you imagine? He counseled her that she should not mention the abuse. And she did admit that she had been in a 6-year abusive relationship. So they had only been together 6 years. So from that, I gathered that the abuse started probably not long after she became sexually active with him. He probably laid claims to her at that point that she's his, and the abuse started then, probably with controlling behavior. Probably became a situation where she didn't listen to him, tried to exercise her autonomy, and she wound up, being abused. And at that point, a family member asked her, did she see him as a father figure? And she kind of admitted she did. Now imagine that your groom, that the man you're going to marry, you see him as a father figure in addition to your man, your lover, your husband to be. Just imagine something like that. The worst thing also is the fact that his wife, since she wasn't there to defend herself, did not see the opportunity to mentor this young woman out of this situation. Probably because due to her own issues in her marriage, she probably was so relieved to get away from him that she didn't take that opportunity to mentor this young woman. Well, on the show, it was another woman. I think it was the young lady's stepmother who had been with the young lady's father in the past. And this woman said she had been in an abusive relationship with the young lady's father and had wound up in a coma. He had beat her so bad she was in a coma. She was lucky to be alive. But she took an interest in the young lady, and she sat down with her to speak with her in private. And that's when the 25-year-old and 19-year-old, who was 25 now, shared with her that she had been being abused in this relationship. And so it came out on the show, and the young woman, she just cried her heart out. And that's the part with me that really was sad, that this young woman was broken. Okay, she was broken. She didn't have any self-worth. She didn't feel like she was worth something so much better. That this 55-year-old man giving her that attention, probably something she had craved from her own father in her lifetime. She went with that. And I'm sure she does not have the tools and the knowledge to see that the whole relationship is unacceptable, and it's due to her own feelings of wanting to be loved, cared for, seen, accepted, that she's willing to settle for that. So they tried to do an intervention for this young woman. They explained to her that until the abuse was addressed, that she should not get married. Ultimately, the plan was for her and the husband to be not to speak to each other for 30 days, and both of them go to counseling to address this issue of abuse. That was the plan that was agreed upon while watching this show. However, when they left the show and they went home, they got married. They went to the courthouse and got married. Apparently, it was a secret that she was going to marry this man. No family or friends was invited. And, I got to surmise, I guess they found out after the fact, after they had got married, that they had got married. So she went on and married that man. And even though she admits she was in a 6-year relationship being abused, she admitted on the show that she still wanted to be with that man. She still could not see that a man being abusive to her is not love. That's not love. That's something else. I always say that. That's definitely not love. That's something else. That's their own feeling of inadequacy, needing you to be loyal to them while they're not loyal to you. Oh, I left out the best part. During this 6-year relationship, he had cheated on her multiple times. That goes back to that need to be loved and accepted no matter what. And some of you know exactly what I'm talking about because, a lot of us women have found ourselves fatherless, seeking attention of men, broken, hurt, feeling abandoned, feeling unworthy, unloved, not good enough. That when any man would give us attention, that would be enough, that we would respond to that out of our own need to feel loved and accepted. I feel that as adult women, we have to do a much better job in protecting our daughters and other young women that are in your midst, whether they're your daughter or not, from thinking that abusive behavior is love. We must begin to be an example of what loving relationships look like. We have got to stop being accepting of these relationships that are past challenging. They are so unacceptable, but we will continue to stay in them. A lot of adults are broken down from the experiences of their childhood, watching two individuals trying to have a relationship that don't know how to conduct a relationship. In society, we just seem to think that people just grow up, fall in love, and then they have this relationship. But the thing is, if you never had, never seen, never been taught how to have or conduct a relationship, you just conduct it any old kind of way you want, haphazardly. And of course, our definition of love varies person to person.